Coach B.
Hey, Travis, what's up?
Oh, not much. What's that sound?
Just working on some long overdue improvements here.
Whoa.
Fit for a Hall of Famer.
Welcome to an all-new season of The Joe Show on the freshly renamed Joe Report. I'm everyone's favorite Hall of Famer, Joe Balogh, and the new sign out front is just the start of some major changes around here. Hollywood may not have worked out, so I'm bringing my own Eras tour to the airwaves in Season 3 because this is Balogh's version. And to start things off, I'd like to welcome in former president of the Joe Report, Brian Skowronski, to talk a little ball.
Well, Joe, I got to say, I'm just tickled to death. I love what you've done with the place here at the Joe Report, and I think it's got a lot of potential, man. Thanks for bringing me back in.
Well, you know, we've tried to improve the show. You know, the OH Report just needed some changes. So the Joe Report's, I think, going to really boost our ratings here this year.
Unquestionably, I see already the ticker count going up on the viewership here. So let's talk some ball, baby. What's on your mind?
Well, let's take a look. It's early in the season after a great fall season, which you guys did covering. Excited about the basketball season, and now we're just kind of into it. So let's take a look at a couple of the leagues and some of the top teams. So first of all, let's take a look at girls basketball because I think we have two of the better girl basketball leagues here in this area, in the state, and the first one would be the MOAC conference with the Shelby Whippets, the girls. Let's talk a little bit about them because Natalie Lance doesn't seem to rebuild. She just seems to reload every year.
Yeah, I talked to Natalie a few weeks ago at her restaurant, and I was just like, "Are you guys going to win the league again?" And she was like, probably. Just the attitude around there. And when you've done it 6 times in a row and that's all you've ever done within the league, that's got to be the expectation. And probably have the best player going right now in the MOAC. And Eve Schwemling just hit a career high the other night in scoring. And what I like about her, looks like her body's changed a little bit. She's definitely much more of an athlete. She's bounding off the floor a little bit better. And she's got the stroke. Early on in her career, not so sure that she was a 3-point threat. Now she's got that. They got some height inside with Ramsey and obviously the collection of talent, Nice and all the other girls, the great ball handlers. They do a great job of what you did when you were a coach of working on that individual, just building up the player from the inside out, and then the team will come second. And I think the Whippets probably have the most talented team from top to bottom.
Yeah, I would agree with you. And I think the thing that is impressive with what Natalie's done at Shelby is a player like Eve Schwemling. It seems like every year she's developed something a little bit more in her game. And I think the one thing that you mentioned is maybe not a consistent perimeter shooter, especially from behind the arc. Seems like something that she's really worked hard on this summer and off season, and not good for the rest of the MOAC. But also we look at the MOAC. I think that a team that's right behind them and has lost to Shelby already are the Clear Fork Colts. Scott Sellers is doing a tremendous job down there, and it'll be interesting to see as this season progresses, especially getting into the second half of league play when they match up again to see if there's any kind of adjustments made because he's done a really good job down there.
You almost want to say that the Whippets are the kryptonite there, but they've been the kryptonite for every team in the MOAC. So it's not really a fair assessment for Coach Sellers and what he's got. But what I really love about them, they graduated some record breakers and some game changers, and they filled in with some younger players. Really like the sophomore class, very talented. I seen them last night, and they just put up a barrage of threes. They shot more threes than twos in a win last night over senior high. And they defend at a really high rate. Constantly the motor is running, and they're swapping out girls just about every 2 minutes, which is pretty uncommon. And I thought to myself, is this bad for the flow? Are you not really getting engaged in the game? But they're emptying the bucket to their full maximum degree on defense, where they forced 31 turnovers last night, and that was really obviously a big part of why they were able to run away with the victory against the Tigers. So I do think they're firmly sitting in that number 2 spot, but to be the best, you got to beat the best, and so far haven't been able to do it. looking forward to that round 2, though.
Yes, I mean, I think those are the 2 top teams. I think Marion Pleasant might be in that mix. Typically, River Valley's may be in that mix.
Yep.
Maybe if you look at the rest of the league, they're going to really have to step up to compare with those, especially 2 top teams. So let's take a look at the Northern 10.
Okay.
And that's been a really good conference over the years. Colonel Crawford sitting at the top, undefeated.
Yeah, I mean, 7-0 speaks, doesn't it? They got some big games coming up here. They're hosting Cary on Saturday. They're going to find out a little bit about themselves. But you just look at the depth of this league, and Bucyrus is off to a really rocky start, still searching for that first win. Everybody else, I feel like on any given night, the other 7 teams are all really solid. Buckeye Central right now, even though they're just 3-4 on the year, they're dangerous. Winford's got that sophomore class that they've been playing together for a long time. And MOAC, we know, is a dangerous team. We cover Upper Sandusky, all their home games. They've got the defending N10 Player of the Year, a senior, and Grace Walton on that team, along with Addie Newman and all the shooting they have on the perimeter. So I think Colonel Crawford have put themselves in a position at 4-0 in the league to, even though it's early, it's kind of theirs to lose at this point. But I definitely don't see them going unscathed the entire season.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. But they did have a really big win, I think, a week ago when they beat Upper Sandusky at Upper Sandusky.
Sure.
And one of the things I've always said as a coach, especially when you play a round robin in the league, you're playing home and away. You don't win the league in the first round, but you can lose the league in the first round. So the big thing for Colonel Crawford right now, that win over Upper Sandusky is a big win because you won one on the road. And I think when you're in a league, you're really trying to win all your home games. And especially in this league, you're trying to steal a few on the road because, as you mentioned, there's not just 1 or 2 teams, maybe as we mentioned in the MOAC.
Yeah.
There's a list of 5, 6, or 7 teams that you'd better be ready to play on any given night.
And that's what Seneca East just found out. They were off to a 5-0 start. They've dropped their last 2. And I don't think for anybody in this league that you can overlook another conference opponent. It's super deep this year. And I think that by the time we get to the end of January, there's going to be at least 3 teams still in the running. And I can't even guess who it's going to be.
Well, and I think the other thing that you take into account that league at the girls level, you've got some veteran coaches. I mean, you got Amy Sheldon, who I think is going for 400 wins here awful soon. Got Zach Bauer, who's on the girls' side, I think maybe just for his 2nd or 3rd year, but has been involved in the boys' program there forever. Jerry Vent's been at Upper Sandusky, an Upper Sandusky guy. So you got a lot of veteran coaches there that make it really, really difficult to win games.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see how this all shakes out by the end of the year, but a lot of star power, too, in the league as well. So it seems like every team's got at least one go-to type of player, and the race for the N10 Conference Player of the Year, that's going to be a fun one, too. Can Grace repeat? There's been a variety of girls, so there's a lot of fun storylines.
She's off to a pretty good start.
Yeah, she can play, man.
I got a chance to see her play, and then actually went over and watched the practice, and she's just impressive with her work ethic every day, and I think her work ethic kind of bounces to everybody else in that program. And then in doing the game the other night, I think somebody pointed out to me, I think Jonathan pointed out to me, he goes, well, there's another Walton coming as a freshman, and I think there's another Walton in the junior high. So they're gonna continue to grow there. So let's take a look at the boys' side. OCC, Ohio Cardinal Conference.
Yeah.
I mean, initially here, I think big game Friday night, Lex Mansfield Senior, but Lex getting bounced just the other night by Worcester. Kind of this game now becomes really, really important because Senior High could step in and take really a 2-game lead over Lex with a win on Friday night.
Yeah, bravo to Marquis Sykes. I know the last couple of years he's kind of taken some heat and some flack for not having a Tiger-esque type of season in terms of the wins and losses that I know he wants for that program. So off to this undefeated start, and they've got some really exciting young players, a freshman right now kind of carrying the scoring load. We know Kyvie Roan from what he's done the last couple of seasons, and it just feels like it might be the best collection of talent that he's had in a long time. However, Lexington is the team to beat within that league, even without Braden Fogel right now. Not sure how long he's going to be out, but still with guys like Seven Allen and Joe Caudill and everybody else that they bring, that's going to be an exciting game. And the winner of that one, like you were saying, you certainly can't win the league in round number 1, but you can go a long way to putting yourself in a position to get it. And
it'll be interesting, too, because Lex seems to be playing a lot more pressure-type defense this year.
Sure.
Playing a little bit more up-tempo maybe than they played in the past, which, that's kind of been the mantra of Mansfield Senior over the years. So that matchup will be kind of interesting on Friday night. So let's go back to the MOAC then and take a look there. Kind of really balances you as you take a look at it here early. Marion Pleasant with a big win over probably the league favorite River Valley last week. Got Shelby starting a little bit late. I think they got knocked off by Marion Harding, but the Holman kid did not play. I think he was sick, so he's back now. So it's going to be interesting to see maybe over the next 2 weeks kind of how this starts to play out.
And very similar to football at the beginning of the season for us with the MOAC, we were like, man, this is unbelievable depth. I can't even kind of determine who we think is going to be some of the favorites, even though we thought, at least on the football side, Ontario and Shelby would be those teams. Eventually, the cream rose to the crop. Within this MOAC, we thought it was going to be River Valley. I saw them lose on the road at Pleasant, a team that everybody was kind of picking to get beat pretty bad that night. Lathan McCants and Sick Miller and the boys that they have on the inside, I think they're going to be a tough out every single night. Harding's the same way. If you get the good version of Harding, I don't know that anybody beats them on one of their good nights. Ontario, that freshman class, they're young, but they can really play. And Shelby too. I mean, after that long football run, it's going to take them probably a couple more weeks before they get their basketball legs underneath them. So Joe, this is such a confusing, just looking from top to bottom right now, where Shelby's at the bottom and so is River Valley. Highland's a really competitive team as well. They've got some great guard play. So I really feel like in terms of parity, you can compare this to what the Northern 10 has going for the girls right now, where roll them up, shake them, and just whoever comes out, anyone can win on any given night.
That's why I think probably when we come back in January with our second show, this will play out maybe a little bit more with how teams have played over here over the break. And let's take a look at the third league that we're going to look at today, the Northern 10, the boys. We have Colonel Crawford sitting at the top right now with Mohawk Upper and Seneca East, kind of right behind them. Crawford, kind of the same thing as we said about Natalie Lance. David Sheldon just seems to rebuild it. Got the two DeGray kids inside. Got a great addition with the Holt kid coming over from Triway that helps. And then I think they got like four guys that kind of fit into those other two spots. And I think early on in the season, in their loss against Crestview, they just didn't shoot the basketball well. But then they come out against Buckeye Central and they make 15 threes. So as I talked to Dave a little bit. Said, Dave, if your guys start making shots, you guys are going to be pretty good. And looks like they're starting to make shots.
Yeah, you get that man a statue already. Okay, North Robinson, they got to start getting some funds together to get that thing built because it's coming eventually. He's as good as it gets. The most consistent program that we have in North Central Ohio is Colonel Crawford. I think they are the favorite in the league, but 4 teams shared this baby last year, if you remember that. Seneca East, I think, is really talented again. They got a lot of those kids that got a taste of going to the regional for the first time last year. They're going to want to repeat when they get into the tournament. Of course, we got the 7 divisions now, so not all these teams are going to have to play each other.
And they have the Bordner kid that's back, that played a major role with that team. He seems to, early on here in the season, has stepped up, kind of taking that leadership role, pulling those guys that maybe were players coming off the bench or JV players a year ago, and kind of establishing that tradition that they built a little bit last year.
Sure. Yeah, he just had 25 the other night in that win against Cary, and the Blue Devils too. I know they're off to a little bit of a slow start right now. They're 1-4, 1-5 out of the gates, but they've got some kids that can really play basketball too. I love the coaching that they get over there. So this one, I don't think it's quite like the girls. I feel like you really can look at a couple of the top contenders here. I certainly feel like Colonel Crawford is the team to beat. Upper Sandusky and Coach Winslow, they might have the horses this year to be able to contend.
And Upper Sandusky had them beat. They had Crawford beat. I mean, they were up 8 with, I think, under 2 minutes, and just, I think as Coach Winslow said, we just kind of gave it away. So again, that'll be another interesting matchup when the Rams head over to the Eagles' Nest later in the year and play them. And then, the thing I've heard is that Mohawk might be, we talk about Crawford, but a lot of people are talking about Mohawk. I believe they have 10 seniors on this team.
Wow.
And they play a really physical brand of basketball. So that, I think we talked about that matchup with Crawford and Mohawks maybe not till January the 10th.
Yeah, they got some time.
So again, I think though you take a look at those 4 teams, they're kind of maybe at the top. We'll see if any of those teams, Buckeye Central, Winfrey, Bucyrus, are going to be able to step up into that top 3 or 4.
I don't think so. I would have a tough time seeing Buckeye Central so far, a little bit of a softer schedule within the N10 so far. When they start playing the Crawfords and the Mohawks and the Seneca East and the Carries of the world, I guess I'll be impressed and surprised if they are able to step up and have that caliber of team. But I think I've kind of narrowed it down to 4 teams that I think would have a chance, and that's the Tigers, the Rams, Mohawk, and Colonel Crawford. And if you got a point guard named Boomer, Cleveland, baby, come on, you got a chance. And I think he's a 4-year starter for them as well. So with all the other seniors that they have with that class, this is going to be a fun race to keep an eye on for sure.
Well, and the thing is, I made that comment earlier. I don't think you win the league in the first round, but you can lose it if you lose a couple games. And then the other thing I think you got to start thinking about too is injuries, illness. Every team, I've always said this every year when I coach, is you would like to say, hey, we would like to go through a season without any adversity, but you're always going to have adversity. There's going to be something. And the big thing is, how do teams respond to that adversity? Whether it's an illness, an injury, or something else that happens to your program. And sometimes that can happen, right at the beginning of the year. It can happen at the middle of the year or the end of the year. And usually the league champion in any of these leagues has had to face some adversity and overcome it to win a league at the end of the year.
Yeah, tell me about it. I just had my company taken right out from under my nose, Joe, and I'm still out here plugging along, so we're trying to make it happen.
And you're still talking to the guy.
Here we go. All right, thanks, Joe. Coming up next, it's basically whatever Joe says for the rest of forever, it sounds like. So more of the Joe Show returns on an all-new Joe Report next.
Season 3 of The Joe Show is brought to you exclusively by Buckeye Horizon, your local Trane comfort specialist. Schedule an appointment online at BuckeyeHorizon.com or call their Mansfield location at 419-529-2738.
The Upper Sandusky girls basketball team is coming off a successful 16-8 season with ambitions to capture the program's first Northern 10 championship since 2017 this year. With reigning league player of the year Grace Walton captaining the ship, head coach Jerry Vent's squad is off to a 4-3 start in what figures to be a very competitive conference race. I stopped by the Mountaintop to see what practice looks like for the Lady Rams. Here's an inside glimpse from Upper Sandusky. We're with Jerry Vent, head girls basketball coach of the Upper Sandusky Lady Rams. And Coach Vent, one of the things I think I like to do is I come to watch practice. It's always fun to read to kind of compare like stuff that you guys have done with how we did it. But the other part I think it's always interesting for people that watch the OH report is to get a little bit of background about you. So maybe give us a little bit of background like of your where you went to high school, and then kind of lead up to maybe how you got this job here at Upper Sandusky.
Okay, well, I'm a lifelong resident of Upper Sandusky. I grew up on a dairy farm actually about 4 or 5 miles south of Upper Sandusky. Went to high school at Upper, played basketball. 3-year letter winner at Upper Sandusky. Went on to college at Bowling Green. Got an accounting degree. Worked in the finance world for a while. While I was doing that, I was fortunate enough to be asked by Scott Elkert when he was here to coach the boys freshman team. So I coached boys freshman with him for a couple years. About that same time, I was, in my mid-20s, my wife and I were, contemplating starting a family. At the time, we had decided that we were going to adopt 2 children from Russia, actually. So I took some time away from coaching basketball and started our family. After 5-6 years of that, another opportunity presented itself when Shane Adams was the head coach here.
Yep.
So he asked me if I was interested in coming back to coaching. So I coached freshman with him for a year, and then I coached JV with him for a couple years. So, that's kind of how I got my introduction into coaching, as well as coaching some of the youth teams around the area when my daughter was younger. I coached some CYO basketball when she was younger. And then, when Coach Foley stepped away 7-8 years ago, it just was the right time for me to consider, if Upper Sandusky was ready for me to take over their girls' position. So I applied with the support of my wife and, had a great interview with Mr. Ehrman. And I've been the head coach at Upper Sandusky for the last this is my 7th year. So had super great memories over the last 7 years and looking forward to many more.
Every coach, I think they have a philosophy of the program, or I guess maybe the more popular term now is the culture that they like to build in their program. So maybe just tell us a little bit about what's the culture that you tried to build here with the Lady Rams basketball program?
Yeah, I had two great mentors, like I talked about with Coach Elkert and Coach Adams. They had similar philosophies when it came to on the court type stuff with, defense philosophies first. But, I learned a lot from both of them. I learned so much about the culture part of it. Coach Elkert was pretty demanding individual, but those kids respected him so much. I learned a lot about the idea of how you can be tough on individuals and get the most out of them and have them respect you back, even with that kind of toughness type philosophy. And the same with, Shane Adams, Coach Adams, kind of that idea of believe in the process, but believe in the people that are part of the process before you believe in the process. So you got to reach the people before you can teach the people. It's kind of, those are the two philosophies I took from each one of them. I'm a big Tony Bennett guy, huge Virginia basketball fan. So when they won the national championship back in 2019, I was elated. I've read a lot about Tony Bennett and where he comes from and his connection to his dad and even Butler to an extent. And then he has his 5 pillars of his program, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but servanthood, thankfulness, unity, passion, and humility. That's something that you'll see in our locker room, on the back of our t-shirts. That only does so much though, is just hang it up somewhere and put it on a t-shirt, so we talk about it pretty much every day.
I just heard you when you broke the huddle tonight. I don't know if you're going to dinner, but you said something about making sure you say thank you, those kind of things.
Yeah.
I thought that was really impressive. And you just kind of answered my second question, because my next question was going to be who's been a major influence besides the 2 guys you coach with, and you mentioned Tony Bennett. Is there anybody else that you kind of have studied or kind of have influence with?
Obviously everybody, I think, that is a coach has studied John Wooden to an extent and what he brings, his Woodenisms and his pyramid success and all that other stuff. So I obviously have read a lot of books about John Wooden and how he was able to connect with players and teach them not just about basketball but life, and teach them life through basketball type thing. So he's another one that definitely has influenced me that I don't know. My parents though were huge influences on me growing up, especially my dad. He was a 4-H advisor growing up. He wasn't really into sports very much, but he was a 4-H advisor, and I saw the impact that he had on young people through those avenues of 4-H and Farm Bureau and so forth. So that really drove me to want to have an impact on, the youth of our community, and what better way to do that than coaching? So,
you might have answered my next question, because my next question is kind of what's your favorite part about coaching?
Definitely I don't want to say the grind, but just that process of building a team every year. I don't even know who said this, but I heard a coach one time in a podcaster interview or whatever that said, I've been coaching for 30 years, but I've only been coaching this team 1 year type thing. The idea that doesn't matter how many years you've been coaching, every team's a little bit different. You can keep your philosophies the same and however you want to do it, but every team brings a little bit something different. So I like that, the idea of building a team. As soon as, your tournament runs over, you take a little time to yourself, but then I do a lot of self-evaluation over the next month or two about what was good about our season, what was good, what did I see good in myself, what things could I improve on myself. I try to, listen, podcasts, read books, and just try to better myself in those next few months, and then build us back up in the summer, into the fall, into the season. I think that's what I like the most about it is, like I said, it's about the people that are part of the process, not necessarily the process so much. So
that's what I've said. When people ask me with coaching, I said, to be honest with you, there probably wasn't when I was coaching, there probably wasn't a day that went by that you didn't think of something. Like in the summer, you're thinking about, like you had mentioned, I think earlier about Grace Walton, about last year was kind of a nightmare because she's boxing one. So I'm sure every day in the summer you're trying to find something that that I can put in and do with that.
Yeah, last year at this time I had some sleepless nights. My wife will attest to that, about the idea of how do you solve boxing ones, triangle and twos, face guards with man defense behind it. I mean, there's not a lot out there on how to break that down. I mean, there's all kinds of philosophies, whether or not you should go zone offense, man offense, or whatever. So yeah, I had some sleepless nights last year about this time when we started really facing those face guards. And, you know, we continued to research that this summer because we knew that was going to be kind of our season this year. But, you know, we're off to a pretty good start as far as trying to create more balance on our team this year. We have some outside shooters that I think are going to open some things up, both for Grace and for Addie Newman a little bit this year.
So you kind of talked about your favorite part. Is there a least favorite part about coaching?
Boy, I don't know if I really have a least favorite part other than being away from my family.
Yep.
You know, my wife is so supportive. You can't do this without a supportive family. But if there's something I would say that is the least favorite part, it's, you know, not being able to be around my family quite as much because you do have to kind of sacrifice a little bit. You know, Saturday we played Winford, came home, and my son runs track. He runs cross country and track for Tiffin University. Got home, went to church, went right over to watch him run. So I missed some of those things because I'm not always able to do that. So I would say that's probably the thing you know, is the worst part about coaching.
You know, it's early in the season. You said you're somewhat happy with the start that you've had with this basketball team. But as you're this early part of the season, what's one or two things you really like about this basketball team?
I'm really liking how we're disruptive we are on defense right now. We're playing a little bit different style of defense. You know, for 5 years I was a man. You know, you got to know how to guard screens. You got to know how to get through screens.
That's a Scott Oak.
Yeah, it is for sure. Shane Adams too, both of them. Thank you. You're welcome. But last year, midway through the season, you know, we were off to a little bit of a slow start, and I was like, how can I energize this group a little bit? So we went to a little bit of a 1-2-2 type, mid three-quarters court, half-court trap type situation. And you know, we won not like 10 out of 11 games, 9 in a row or something. And I was like, well, maybe we're on to something here a little bit. So I did more research throughout the summer, read a little bit. So we're trying to create, I'm really happy with what we're doing defensively right now. Obviously, you know, we got to clean some things up around the rim some because we are giving up some post looks. But right now teams are shooting 6 for 47.
I saw that on your scouting report.
So, you know, that's 12%. And we've played some decent shooting teams, so I'm pretty proud of that part of it. So defensively, I like what the chaos we're creating and how disruptive we are right now. And I'm really happy with where our balance is on offense right now. You know, coming off the Winford game where we had 4 girls scoring double figures, and one of those was not Addie Newman. That's a positive thing for us. Now we need to get Addie some looks. You know, we weren't able to. She actually had 0 shots. She was 4 for 4 from the foul line. So I've got to do a better job of getting her some looks. But I'm excited for the balance that we can put on the floor this year offensively. So,
one last question. You know, as being you know, I'm part of the Ohio High School Basketball Coaches Association, and we're always trying to look at ways that we're going to improve the game or whatever. But one of the things we're going to experiment with the OHS this year, we're going to have an event at the end of December. We're going to play 15 games with the shot clock.
Yeah.
And so I guess my thing is I'm trying to get a feeling about what people feel about the shot clock. So maybe give me your opinion of what you think about the shot clock.
I'll be 100% honest. From a coaching standpoint, I personally think it's going to be a little bit indifferent. I do think it will help end the game situation, so there's not quite so much like stalling, I guess, that goes on. But I don't know if like throughout the first 3.5 quarters or so, I don't know if it's really going to affect the flow of the game and the speed of the game personally, because I honestly don't know how many possessions we have other than when we play Colonel Crawford because they're so good defensively.
Yeah.
How many possessions we have that go over like 35 or 40 seconds. Yeah. So from that standpoint, I'm not sure. And I'll be honest, maybe that's one of the reasons why we're doing defensively what we're doing, because you know, the idea of having a shot clock come in and pressuring the ball full court takes up more of the shot clock. So, you know, I'm maybe preparing a little bit for the future. But from a coaching standpoint, I don't know if it'll affect me so much and how we coach. My concern would be an administrative part of it. Is, you know, how many people is it going to take to do it effectively, to have a quality shot clock being run, and how much more pressure does it put on the officials? You know, that's just another thing that they're going to have to worry about and make sure is coordinated correctly and so forth. That would be my only concerns about it. I mean, overall though, I think it's probably going to be a positive thing once people get adjusted to it. You know, I think it probably will speed the game up a little bit and create a few more possessions, but I don't know if coaches are going to dramatically shift their coaching styles per se, even though I've maybe thought about it a little bit.
Well, you know, one of the things doing this job over the last couple of years, I've got a chance to see girls basketball, and I got to see your team play, you know, several times. And and I must say that I'm impressed with how hard your kids play, how they play together. So on behalf of me, I continue to wish you best of luck.
Okay, I appreciate hearing that, Coach. That's one of the things we want to take pride in, is the idea of, you know, come out, play for each other, play for your community, and play for yourself last. And I think the effort is what shows that. So I'm glad to hear somebody of your caliber coaching say that.
And you got a great venue to play in.
Oh yeah, it is.
I mean, that, you know, the
old barn is definitely our advantage.
These places are special.
Yeah, they are
special. So best of luck.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Ben's Lady Rams are in the midst of a 6-game homestand that runs through January the 3rd. To keep pace with N10 frontrunner Colonel Crawford, Upper needs to close out 2024 strong, beginning on Saturday against Mohawk. Now let's take a look at our first edition of Coach B's Ballers, featuring the top individual performances captured by our cameras from this past week. Our first baller is Lathan McCants of the Marion Pleasant Spartans. Lathan came up big in last week's win versus River Valley. He scored 13 points and dished out 5 assists, but most importantly, he made 2 clutch free throws in the Spartans' 51-48 win over the Vikings. With a victory over Ontario last night, the Spartans have won 2 in a row and start at 3-3 overall and 2-2 in the MOAC. Our second baller is Lucas Bordner of the Seneca East Tigers. Lucas enjoyed a monster night in the Tigers' 72-51 win over the Cary Blue Devils. Lucas was doing it at both ends of the court as he scored 25 points, including 3 buckets from beyond the arc, and had 3 steals at the defensive end of the floor. The Tigers are currently 4-2 overall and 2-1 in the N10. Seneca East travels to Buckeye Central on Friday and to Winford on Saturday night. Our third baller is Kayla Larimore of the Centerburg Lady Trojans. Kayla looks to be one of the front runners for Player of the Year in the KMAC, as this senior dropped in 18 points, including a perfect 5 of 5 from the free throw line in Centerburg's win over Loudonville last night. The Lady Trojans are currently perfect on the season, as they are 7-0 and 5-0 in the KMAC. Our fourth baller is Davion Mack of the Mansfield Christian Flames. This sophomore was sensational in the Flames' 53-49 win over arch-rival Mansfield St. Pete's. He finished the game with 30 points and 8 rebounds and iced the game with 2 clutch free throws. The Flames are currently 3-1 and travel to Lucas on Friday and then are on the road again at Bucyrus on Saturday. Our fifth baller features another sophomore in Ava Romich of the Upper Sandusky Lady Rams. Ava was lighting it up from behind the three-point line as she made 6 threes and leading her team to a 57-41 win over Seneca East. Her 6 threes were part of a team's total of 13 that the Lady Rams made in that game. The Lady Rams are 4-3 overall and 2-1 in the N10 and will host Mohawk on Saturday at 12 noon. Our sixth baller is Eve Schwemley of the Shelby Whippets. This senior's final season of high school basketball is off to a great start as she scored 30 points, grabbed 7 rebounds, and dished out 6 assists in Shelby's 57-42 win over Upper Sandusky. Her 30 points set a new career high for this senior. The Whippets currently sit on top of the MOAC with a perfect 4-0 record and an overall record of 6-1. Our seventh baller is a freshman, Lowen Ferguson of the Hillsdale Falcons. Lowen went off in his first varsity game as he could not be stopped from long range, scoring 18 points on 6 threes. The Falcons just opened up their season after making it to the Division VII football finals as they dominated Loudonville in a 94-39 win on Tuesday night. The Falcons will match up with Waynedale in the league contest on Friday and then with Strasburg on Saturday in a non-league match. Our eighth baller is Asia Bechtel of the Clear Fork Lady Colts. This young sophomore came alive in the Colts' Tuesday night win over the Mansfield Tigers. She had a career-high 16 points, which included 4 threes, and also had 3 steals as she and her teammates dominated on both ends of the floor to knock off the Tigers in the Colt Corral. The Colts are currently second in the MOAC with a record of 3-1 and have an overall record of 6-2. Our final baller of this week is Kenley Farrell of the Centerburg Trojans. This junior guard was instrumental in Tuesday night's win over East Knox. Kenley scored a team-high 17 points on 6 field goals, but most importantly, she scored 3 key baskets down the stretch to give her team the win. Currently, her team is undefeated in the KMAC and also undefeated overall. We'll put these nominees up for a fan vote to see who you think is my top baller of the week. Let's take a 30-second timeout and be back with more Joe Show after a word from our sponsor, Buckeye Horizon.
Season 3 of The Joe Show is brought to you exclusively by Buckeye Horizon, your local Trane comfort specialist. Get the best in home comfort, hot or cold. We're here for you.
Hello everybody, welcome back to The Joe Show, and allow me to be among the first to wish you a very Merry Christmas as we are just 1 week away from old Jesus' birthday. And to celebrate, how about some plays on the hardwood fit for a king from the past 6 days of high school hoops action? Here come your top 10 plays as ranked by yours truly. These are your top cuts from December 12th through the 17th, presented exclusively by Buckeye Horizon. Tip off your countdown at number 10 with a play that proves it doesn't matter how you start so long as you finish the job. Here's Clear Fork hosting Mansfield Senior, and everybody was invited to the Lady Colts 3 party, only nobody wanted to leave, so the festivities carry on and on. How about 3 offensive rebounds and 4 opportunities for LCP to score? And after starting 0 of 3 from downtown, Mel Bluebot decides to reassess the situation, eventually finding Asia Bechtel here on the backdoor cut, and she puts it in for 2 of her career-high 16 points. We've got defense on the way at top cut number 9, closing seconds of the third quarter, and Carrie's Trip Phoenix likes to score right where it is. What a block by the 6-foot sophomore to shut down Seneca East and Lucas Bordner on the break. More from the Devil's Den coming up soon. Opening possession of the fourth quarter on the way from the Mountaintop. Upper Sandusky holds Shelby to a one and done. Ava Romack gets the board. She's going to initiate the break and lobs a perfect lead pass to a streaking Addie Newman, who would splash 2 from inside the whirlpool. One more look at the pass, though. Newman not even pictured on your screen when it's released, and she does the rest. Crazy acceleration and body control to score a Lady Rams bucket. More from the ladies at number 7. Likely favorite for KMAC Player of the Year, Kayla Larimore, slithers through the East Knox defense like a rubber duck in a bubble bath. And when you see it in slow motion, it's like Kayla already knows what the defense is about to do, plus the left-handed finish, all for good measure. Here's that next clip from the Devil's Den I promised, and it's more Carrie defense with the human fly swatter Bryce Puckett. And I mean, check on that ball's pulse, because this is one aggressive block by the 6'7" senior. As we crack the top 5, there's a lot going on for Upper Sandusky here. Let's start, though, with Ellie stuffing the Christmas ham down low, which will trigger a Ram stampede. Eventually, on the wing, they're going to find senior standout Grace Walton, who single-handedly slices through 4 Tigers defenders and throws a cherry on top with a left-handed scoop. Check out the footwork one more time. The hesitation turns into a Euro step fit for the Queen of England, and the soft touch to make it all pay off. Another magnificent showcase of foot skills on tap here on the countdown at number 4, as Ellie Hensel conquers the Bermuda Triangle with that saucy bucket. Most go missing in the center of her triple team, but not this Redbird, who hits that 1-2 step and then drills this baseline floater. Boop. It's the season opener for Hillsdale following a state final football run, and the Falcons still balling like they're on the gridiron. 2-point conversion is good on the pass from Kale Lewis to Hayden McFadden, just like they do it in pads, only now carving up the defenses on the hardwood. Great completion for the bucket. At number 2 on our countdown is some defense turned into offense with a little twist. Alex Mayer off the theft, takes it and goes around the back. Davion Mack will finish it off for Mansfield Christian and a big bucket. Take a second look at the active hands. Mayer pushes the pace with some serious style, and the Mack attack puts on a show right in front of the student section as the Flames knock off rival St. Pete's. But at number 1 is the closing seconds of the third quarter at Pleasant, who are about to turn it over off the inbounds, and then it ends up with Mr. Johnny on the spot. Boom! Just before the horn. Heads up play from River Valley sophomore Carter Myers, but he wouldn't have even had a chance without Chase Smith's acrobatic steal, leading to this, the late quarter heroics, and your top cut of the week. Pretty good countdown if I do say so myself, and it's just the first week of this, still 7 more to come. No vote to be had on this, but go ahead, let me know, drop me a comment. Did I get something maybe out of order? Did you think another play was better than my top of the week? Get the debate going down in the comment section below. Not pictured though in my top cuts of the week, Upper Sandusky boys basketball, but Coach B, he had a chance to catch up with one of the great ones over there for Coach Winslow. Throw it over to Joe now.
A 2-point loss to defending Northern 10 champion Colonel Crawford is all that separates Upper Sandusky from a perfect 5-0 start. The Rams boast a super balanced offensive attack with a veteran point guard at the controls. Senior Brock Montgomery is that seasoned leader, and I had the chance to find out what makes him tick in this trip around the arena. Okay, we're here with Brock Montgomery of the Upper Sandusky Rams for our episode of Around the Arena. You know, Brock, I think probably everybody knows that you're the 3-time Player of the Year in golf. Last 2 years, I believe, as I looked up, you finished 3rd and 4th the last 2 years. So outstanding golfer, outstanding career. Also playing basketball. So I guess my first question is, how do maybe some things with golf translate to basketball for you?
You know, golf is just such a mental sport. I think going out here, playing with my guys every day, I think it's the leadership skills and being mentally strong kind of translate into from the golf course to the basketball court.
I think everybody has somebody that influences their career in sports. Who you might be a person or persons that have been a major influence for you in your career here at Upper Sandusky?
I'd have to go with my big brother Brett. He's 5 years older than me. He is also a 2-time All-Ohioan in golf, but his basketball team went to the regional semifinals during COVID. Unfortunately, they didn't play, but I think being able to go home every day and see him, I think it's really cool to be able to kind of go off of each other.
In basketball, how do you think you've grown as a player from your junior year now to the start of your senior season?
I got to go out there every day, and I gotta score more than I ever have. Last year we had Holden Darris, who had 15 points a game, and him graduating was a big loss. So I think myself and Justin Heilman, our point guard, are doing a good job of stepping up and putting some points on the board.
Well, I'm sure you enjoy golfing. What do you enjoy most about basketball?
Going in the locker room every day and being with my best friends. I mean, golf is so independent, and being able to play with 5 to 10 guys every day, it's awesome.
When you're not playing basketball or golfing, favorite thing to do?
Hang out with my friends. You know, college football playoffs are coming on. It's every Saturday night, go watch some football, go to B-Dubs or something, go hang out with my friends, I'd say.
Favorite athlete?
Whew.
Doesn't necessarily be basketball, it could be golf. Favorite athlete?
I'm a big Justin Thomas guy. He's a golfer. He brings the energy to the course, and I try to bring the energy to the course, but I also like to bring the energy to the gym.
Favorite food?
Oh, that's a tough one. My mom makes some pretty good homemade chicken wings, so Sunday nights, that's got to be a go-to.
So the N10 really competitive the last few years. Toughest place to go play the N10 besides playing at home for your opponents, but for you to go on the road, what's the toughest place you've had to play in?
I gotta go with Colonel Crawford. The gym's small, it's hot in there, everyone's yelling, games are always close. Coach Sheldon's throwing towels. I think that's gotta be the best one.
More pressure at the free throw line, shooting a free throw to win the game, or a 12-foot putt to win a match?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Believe it or not, I gotta go with the free throw. I feel I'm out here every day with my guys. I'm playing for more than myself.
Best memory so far in your high school career?
Beating Ontario last year at Ontario. We didn't know what to expect. No harm there. But
no bad feelings because I wasn't coaching. So.
That's right.
When your athletic career here is done with Upper Sandusky, what do you think you're going to remember the most?
Again, as I said earlier, I think it's got to be the memories in the locker room. 4 years here, being varsity all 4 years, being with my best friends every day. You can't beat it.
Well, stay out of foul trouble and best of luck.
Thank
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Brock and the Rams host Ontario tomorrow night in a matchup that you can catch live and free right here on our Facebook and main YouTube channel. It's the second of 6 straight home games for Upper Sandusky before finishing the regular season with 9 of their last 12 on the road. Thanks for tuning in to the first of a scheduled 8 amazing episodes of this season of The Joe Show. And now that the network is finally named after its biggest star, me, expect more Hall of Fame caliber content on the way in the new year. Have a happy holiday, everyone. And remember, there's still 7 more episodes on the way. So, your Christmas wish has already come true.